Hold up. Hold up. Hang on. I think I had some wait. Hold up. I got some videos for the for a little React Andy. There's another video for 30 minutes of is Honkai Impact 3rd really dying? Here's the truth. I kind of want to watch these videos.
So dudes, it's your boy Tuhu.
Bro, I swear to God, Toho just like loves hating. He's an actual hate watcher.
Recently, I had a guy ask me in my stream if I was gonna play this game that Mtashed said he was working on, an upcoming game called Godforge. I knew that.
Says you? What do you mean, bro? I swear to God, Toho just comes off as so angry in all these videos. That's what I'm saying. You know, I like.
Before on his YouTube channel, but I didn't watch it then, so I decided to go check it out now that someone in my own chats brought it up to me. And after watching that and a demo video for Godforge that the developers of the game put out on their own YouTube channel, I have a few things to say about him, or to put it more bluntly, I'm gonna talk a whole bunch of shit about the game, and more specifically, Mtash's involvement with it. First, I should clarify right now that I don't
leave
know
Mtash alone.
or anything, right? I never even talked
Bro's
to the guy.
just chilling with his
We
son,
might have been on the same GachaCast episode that Tectone
his son's winning hockey games, like.
But the point is that he sure as fuck doesn't know me. I don't watch his content regularly, and before I watched his Godforge promo video, the most I knew about him was that he's the guy who keeps saying he's gonna quit this or that MiHoYo game, but doesn't because he doesn't want to have to go back to making Diablo or Destiny 2 videos that get half or less the views that his gacha videos do. Or at least that's what I assume.
I swear to God, Mtash just like fine with Destiny 2. I think he just doesn't like the fucking game.
I have a chip in my shoulder when it comes to the gacha content creation.
Well, I mean, let's see. I actually don't even think Mtash is making videos. Yeah, he's been very slow on the upload schedule recently. Not that slow. I guess just up like most recently in the last week or two, but
community as a whole, not just Mtash, because honestly, I think a lot of y'all are fucking fake as shit and shouldn't even be considered gacha YouTubers or streamers if the only gacha games you play are MiHoYo and or Wuthering Waves. And no, getting sponsored to play a smaller gacha for like a day or two and then never touching it again
afterwards. In a way, I feel pretty bad for Mtashed because all the games he plays really suck. Destiny 2 is ass. Diablo 4 is mid. Really, he just needs to play an MMORPG.
To be fair, Diablo 4 was decent at the release, and then they fucking started nerfing shit, and it was kind of lame. He's talking about you? No, I do not only play fucking like Genshin, HSR, and that's it. It's like, you know?
Feel this way, or if you're just wondering who the fuck this weeb is with all these anime body
Go
pillows
back?
hung up on
Why?
the wall, feel this way, and then never touching again afterwards, sponsored to play a smaller gacha for like a day or two, and then never touching again afterwards ain't good enough.
That's not me! That's literally the opposite of me! What do I do every time I get sponsored by a smaller gacha game? Do I fucking never touch it again? Oh no! I end up spending $2,000-3,000 into it, and fucking, I don't know why, and I end up being negative sponsor on it, and then I force myself to quit because I realize all I'm doing is dumping my goddamn money into a goddamn bottomless pit.
If you want to know more about why I feel this way, or if you're just wondering who the fuck this weeb is with all these anime body pillows hung up on the wall behind him, talking shit, go.
I got a take here. I think Tuhu needs new, he needs new body pillow covers. Because I think out of all of them back there, only the Crony one is good. Every other one, the art is kind of meh. Maybe this one over here. Even the Toa one is kind of low quality. He kind of needs to upgrade, you know?
Go watch these two previous videos of mine. They'll explain where I'm coming from better than I will here. Links in the description. Now that you have this context, and having watched Mtash's Godforge video and the 2.0 developer demo video,
hey, DDXL, they're over to 45. Welcome back.
All the problems that I have with the game and Mtash's involvement with it. First problem, in no particular order by the way, Mtash says that the graphics in this game look, quote, incredible, unquote. I'm not a 3D animator or anything, so I can't tell you how good the models are. maybe the 3D models themselves.
Okay, come on, man. It's an like they're like super early days of the game.
Specifically, at the very least,
you can't flame the game this early.
What I do have a problem with is the presentation. Like, there's nothing about this game that intrigues me in particular. Like, I'm not captivated or impressed by what I'm seeing. The character designs are nothing special, the animations are bland and lack impact. Like, what the hell is this animation supposed to be?
Yeah, but see, I think Toho is coming at this too much as a creator and not a businessman, right? Mtashed is smart. This is why I said Mtashed's game is probably going to make tons of money. You want to know why? Because Mtashed has realized most of the normal gacha players or people who fall for these games are fucking idiots, and they'll spend money on anything, right? Let's be like, we just watched a video recently about Monopoly Go making fucking like $2 billion or some shit, right? Because people want to spend money to roll some dice more, right? Like, legitimately, this game will probably still make money, right? Will it be amazing? Will it be covered by tons of content creators? Probably not, right? But, like, I don't know tons of content creators who fucking cover Raid fucking Shadow Legends, but Raid Shadow Legends makes tons of fucking money, right? Chat, do you know anybody who is a Raid Shadow Legends streamer? I don't know anybody who is a Raid Shadow Legends streamer. I don't know anyone who is a Raid Shadow Legends exclusive YouTuber. But that game makes so much money. I don't know how. And that's why I am convinced this game will probably still make really good money. You know?
I assume the characters have voice lines, but I couldn't hear any of them, or at least not well, in either Mtash's video or the demo to get a sense of how the units themselves are characterized.
It's a Western-looking game, bro. Nobody's gonna care for it. Again, that's not true. Dislight still makes good money. Raid Shadow Legends still makes good money. Like, these games, chat, I'm telling you, just because you're not exposed to it, don't think for a second that they're dog shit or they're dead. They make really good fucking money still. You guys literally just are out of it because you don't see videos on it, you don't see content creators covering it, you don't see Twitch streams, so you think they're dead, but they're do you know how much money Candy Crush makes? There ain't nobody streaming Candy Crush. There's nobody making Candy Crush YouTube videos, but it makes fucking billions, right? So who? Everybody's mother, everybody's grandmother, everybody's aunt, everybody's uncle, everybody's dad. That's the thing. Like, they all these Facebook grandmas and mothers play fucking Candy Crush, okay?
That doesn't help. I mean, this is their gacha summoning animation, for God's sake. Like, I don't give a shit that this is supposed to be like a pre-alpha build or whatever the fuck. You're out here asking for beta signups, and you don't even have.
You know how much companies invest in marketing? Oh yeah, obviously. Yeah, we saw Monopoly Go spent 500 million of their 2 billion earnings on marketing, right? Genshin Impact spends a ridiculous amount of money on marketing. What did they spend? Like $700 million or something? Oh no, was that how much they spent to develop? And then it was like 300 million on marketing or some shit. It was like an insane amount of money on marketing, right? So we'll see. We'll see. If Mtashed doesn't have a couple of million on marketing alone, he will go bust 100%. Well, no, I think you guys are misunderstanding. Mtashed isn't making this game solely on his own, right? He is partnering with a game studio, I believe. And like, you know, like owns some shares of the game, and gives his input, right, for the game. So like, it isn't like 100% owned by Mtashed or anything.
Important aspects of a gacha game is the presentation.
Yeah, he has a small share. He's just an investor.
Or the animations or whatever else. There needs to be something visual about the game that stands out to potential players to give them a reason to come try your game, to hook them in so that you then have a chance to show them what the rest of the game's really made of, and then turn them into a regular player who will then stick with your game and keep playing it. At least for a while. But judging from what I've seen so far, Godforge doesn't really have much of that visual hook that I'm looking for. I guess maybe the only thing that I can think of is its whole aesthetic. Like, if you're a big fan of ancient mythologies from around the world and seeing them all
to be fair though, Toho is like kind of like me, just likes anime.
Not a filthy weeb or anything.
Like, unless he came out and said he plays Raid Shadow Legends off stream, I would not be surprised if Toho did not think this game's aesthetic was pleasing to him.
Even if the graphics were what people considered to be good, that doesn't mean shit to me because the game itself looks boring. Again, it doesn't give me a compelling enough reason for me to go try it. So at the end of the day, why would I bother with this game when I already play a game like Honkai Star Rail? Speaking of Star Rail, the second problem that I have is with the gameplay itself, and I'm going off of the gameplay that was in, like I said earlier, the Godforge 2.0 demo video that the Fateless devs themselves put up on their YouTube channel. The best way that I can describe this is Raid Shadow Legends had an unwanted bastard child with Star Rail, and this is what you get. You have the Raid aesthetic or art style that's combined with the Star Rail UI. The turn order is in the top left, your character icons that display their health and other information along the bottom left, the third person over the shoulder camera angle for your units, buttons for auto and pause and other stuff on the top right, and the action buttons like basic attack and skill
Okay,
on
but
the bottom
like,
right. Hell, your character's
but
status
like,
effects like
HSR
buffs and
didn't
debuffs
create
are
that,
even shown
you know,
underneath their
aesthetic. Like,
health bars,
there's
and
other
enemies have
games
their
with
own
this,
HPs,
so
and whatever that yellow bar is supposed to be displayed right over them, just like in Star Rail. Given that Mtashed said that he's a consultant for this game, it sounded like, and is helping out with QA and design work, I believe, I don't think any of this is a coincidence. Maybe some things are taken from Raid Shadow Legends instead, I wouldn't know, I don't play Raid, but as someone who's played Star Rail since launch, and am still playing it, when I look at this battle UI, I know exactly where it comes from. But if it were only the UI design that got copy-pasted from Star Rail, then I wouldn't really care that much. After all, you can argue that, you know, Wuthering Waves copy-pasted their UI from Genshin, and no one seems to have a problem with that, right? No, what makes this an actual problem for me is that it really looks like they just straight up copied Star Rail's core gameplay too. Every character in this game looks like they have a basic attack, skill, and ultimate. They also have a faction they belong to, an element, or whatever the equivalent of that is in this game, and a class. Your teams have 4 characters who fight one by one when their turn comes up, and they can only use
I feel like
either
a lot
the
of this is
basic
stock
or
standard.
skill,
I don't
unless
think
they have their
that's
ultimate,
probably
in which
that
case
big of
it
an
seems
issue.
like they can pop it whenever they want. Just like in Star Rail. Again, this isn't necessarily an issue on its own. You can have games that are...
You know how Toho calls out everybody for being fraud gacha gamers? I think some of Toho's takes suffer from being a fraud gamer. Because all he does is play gacha, he doesn't play anything else, so he doesn't know anything outside of gacha. So he thinks everything's copied from gacha. Like, he calls out everybody for being fraud gacha gamers, but he kind of comes off as a fraud gamer in general because he seems to lack knowledge outside of gacha for other games. So, like, yeah, I don't think like everything from here is just like Star Rail unique and it's a Star Rail copy.
Inspired by others, and to use the Wu
he plays games.
Wuthering Waves,
like, maybe he just hasn't played like other turn-based games. Maybe, I don't know.
Has pretty similar gameplay to Genshin, at least on the surface. But the more you play WoWa, the more you realize it's not quite the same as Genshin, because Genshin is much more about, you know, team building and elemental reactions and stuff like that.
That shit definitely copies HSR though. Yeah, but like HSR 1,000,000% copies Persona.
Dodge this, bitch. I hope the same goes for Godforge, where it's at least a little more than just, you know, a Western take on Star Rail. Maybe this game has additional mechanics that differentiates gameplay enough from Star Rail to make it feel more like its own game once you've been playing it enough. But all this leads up to my...
Each element alone is not from HSR, sure, but all these elements combined are from HSR? Okay, but I feel like that's also shit take. Because, like, if you were to be a game that is developing an elemental system, what elements do you think off the top of your head? Fire, ice, water, lightning, wind. Like, the stock standard elements that pretty much every fucking game does. Like, I wouldn't be sitting here and being like, that's all HSR. Only HSR has all those. Like, sure, if they had a quantum element, I'd be like, okay, hold up. All right, maybe... You know, and imaginary, then I'd be like, wait a second. All right, they have quantum and imaginary. That's a little sus. But, like, I don't think they have quantum and imaginary for, like, mythic beings in Godforge. There's no water in HSR, though? Well, you know my point. There's, like, a very stock standard, like, limited list of elements that most games do, right?
Biggest issue when it comes to it's using Star Rail as its inspiration. Of all the games it could have copied its gameplay from, for whatever godforsaken reason, they chose Star Rail. And I just want to ask, why? Mtashed says in his promo video that he wants Godforge to be a knowledge-based game. And in the context of turn-based games, knowledge is more or less skill, because the more you know about how a turn-based game works, as in its mechanics and such, the better you'll play, obviously. Since it's not like, mechanical skill like aim or dodging is a thing in this genre. So for all intents and purposes, I'm gonna have to assume that Mtashed wants Godforge to be a skill-based game. But I don't know if he's aware, but Star Rail is far from a skill-based game because it's an extremely simple game as far as turn.
Oh god, we literally just had this discussion. The difference between knowledge and skill, and whether obtaining large amounts of knowledge is skill, which what was the conclusion we came to? I felt like the conclusion we came to is the amount of, if you are at a position where you have to hold large amounts of knowledge, then it would be considered a skill. But if it's a game that doesn't really require really deep, in-depth knowledge and large oceans of like things to memorize, and it's not that fucking skillful. It's knowledge that is not skillful enough.
Turn-based games go. Star Rail's gameplay boils down to countering enemy elements and rolling gacha so you can use the latest and greatest.
Is this a shitpost video or actual serious review?
To then go destroy.
I'm pretty sure this is a serious review from him.
Because the enemies you face there, and the extra battle conditions there, favor you having that latest character. Like, the most complicated mechanics that I can think of in Star Rail are things like speed thresholds, where your units gain more actions per cycle at specific speed stats, and Yun-Li's ult, which surprisingly requires you to have pretty extensive knowledge of enemy attacks and good situational awareness, so you don't end up wasting it and having it do a lot less damage because Yun-Li didn't parry an enemy attack properly. And no, before you ask, I don't
think about a 46 months.
Impressive, because all they
Pop's YouTube career if you never met Lily. Hey. Wait a second. I feel like it's his isn't like that much different from my current one, to be fair.
all they boil down to are Eidolons and luck sacking the fuck out of your relics. Go try doing an FGOTA and then we'll talk. So if Star
Okay, but like, let's be honest. Come on, Toho. I don't know if Toho plays any competitive games, like shooters or MMO or MOBAs and stuff like that, but like, gachas aren't really skillful. They're really not. There's no gacha game I would consider skillful besides like music gacha games, like Project Sekai, Bandori. I would say those are skillful gacha games, right? Because they fucking require your goddamn fucking god fingers, right? Crazy dexterity. PGR, no, chat. PGR, Genshin. I think all those games, with a decent amount of time investment from any average person, they can pretty much compete and like play the game perfectly fine, right? I think none of them stand far and wide above like the average player versus like a really fucking serious elite gamer. I don't think it's that big of a difference, right? Versus like, let's say take any competitive game. The difference between the average player in League of Legends and a fucking challenger player, it's fucking gigantic. It's not even fucking close. And I think everybody can admit, like, let's say, like, take Counter-Strike or Apex or any of those other shooting games as well, the difference between someone who's high ranked versus an average player is fucking astronomical. But, like, if I took PGR and told you to give me someone in fucking highest Warzone versus someone who's just in average Warzone, if it's really a skill difference or if it's not just a fucking whale difference, like, I'd be like, probably 8 times out of 10 is whale difference. And then, like, the 2 other times is just someone who just played really long time and have really well-built accounts, you know? So, I don't think it's even skill there. Even League isn't that skill-based. You're crazy if you think League isn't that skill-based. What? League has, like, a double fucking, like, it's a double filter because it's, one, knowledge, right? Because you need to be able to understand the matchups of every fucking champion in the game. On top of that, also understanding, like, how to fucking execute upon, like, your plays and outplays. So, like, I feel like you've got to be a silver player if you think League takes 0 skill. Imagine saying PGR has skill when your alpha is perma cutscene taking 0 damage. You still greatly overestimate the average player in these gacha games. Okay, but what I'm saying is, Tasty, what I'm saying is the difference between the average player and the best player in gacha games is nowhere close to the difference between a competitive game's average player and the best player, right? The ratio is not even close. Like, I feel like the difference doesn't go that far between the two.
Rail is a very simple game mechanically, and Godforge is basing its gameplay on that.
This is why I say I think the only gacha game I consider to be skill-based are rhythm games. Because those people are actually talented. Those are skilled motherfuckers. Those are good fucking players, you know? And, bro, you could take a really bro, you guys watch a really good Project Sekai player fucking going and then watch me play it. It's like fucking, I'm like, oh my god. Like, it's fucking, it's night and day. It's not even close. I would, there's, to some degree, no matter how much I practice, I will never get to that point because it's just fucking, there's an intrinsic talent part too.
Skill-based is Godforge gonna be exactly? Again, I assume that the developers will add more mechanics to differentiate its gameplay from Star Rail, at least
no, man. I played rhythm games when I was younger, too.
I have some very real doubts at the moment as to how much
there is a definitive thing for rhythm games where I have never been someone who has been able to independently move multiple fingers at different rhythms and like offbeat rhythms differently. Like, where if I'd have to tap my ring fingers and then offbeat tap my index finger, I would never be able to do that. Like, something in my brain forces multiple my fingers to do things together rather than do them independently, right? And it's been a thing since I was younger. I've never been able to play like super hard versions of like certain rhythm games, and it's just like my brain's wired differently. So, and I think some other people are just way better. You know, maybe piano players are just better, but I was never good at the piano. There's a reason my parents told me to quit piano and pick up violin. I was way better at the violin than the piano. I could not figure out how the fuck to play the piano, you know, but the violin, fucking freelo. I played that shit easy as fuck, you know, but piano, I could not fucking play that shit.
You'll really need to have to play this game. And to make matters worse, Mtashed also said that Godforge will have PvP. And it seems like he wants it, or at least a part of it, to be as
Keep in mind, you're preaching these actually good takes to a bunch of people that don't actually play any skill-based games and or aren't good at any games. People can play League, for example, for 8+ hours a day and still never be good. Oh my god. A bunch of Fobbits and I were playing Flex, and we ran into a 7 million Mastery MF. And we looked up their rank, and there was hard stuck Silver 2 across like 10 years. Bro, do you know how long it takes to get 7 million mastery on a single champion? And somehow be hard stuck silver for that long? That's not a human being!
Balanced as possible, where gear and whaling for gacha characters won't be a factor, and it'll be more about how good you are at the game. And that sounds good and all, sure, but if Godforge ends up not being that much more mechanically dense than Star Rail is, then again, how much skill is there really gonna be? I also question his credentials when it comes to the kind of work that he's done for Godforge. In his video, Mtashed says that he's consulted on things like clan boss design, PvP, and monetization. And after seeing the actual gameplay, it's quite easy to assume that he also probably told the Fateless devs to go look at Star Rail for some inspiration. But how much does he know about these things really? Like, some gameplay aspects I'm sure he knows a thing or two about, like boss fight design perhaps, since he comes from a Diablo and Destiny background, judging from his previous non-gacha content, so I won't judge him there. But PvP? If you want to design a gacha PvP, then I would hope that you have extensive experience playing other gachas that have PvP to understand what makes them work or not, because a PvP experience in a gacha game is quite a bit different than what you'll find in other normal games. And again, looking at his YouTube content, I don't see very many non-MiHoYo gachas that he's made videos for that weren't, you know, sponsored videos, most likely. In my eyes, he's just another generic gacha content creator who rode the initial Genshin popularity wave back in 2020 and still makes his daily bread
right now
from MiHoYo games, and that's it. And given that I've been told that he doesn't even like gacha games all that much, he doesn't particularly strike me as the kind of dude who plays other gacha games off camera. I know very little.
So, Mtashed has a giga fucking stacked Epic 7 account, and he has played Epic 7 off stream for years. Mtashed is like probably one of the only CCs I know who has such a fucking stacked game account for a game that he never makes content off of. He literally never makes Epic 7 content. Is he good though? I mean, he seemed, every time I've talked to him about Epic 7, he seemed pretty fucking knowledgeable. So, bro, Mtashed's E7 guilds top 100 almost every season. Yeah, like Mtashed has a very fucking stacked account. Like he you know, I don't think he actively plays anymore, but he played for a long fucking time. So, I think Toho just doesn't know.
About game development, and usually I don't, go out of my way to criticize someone in a field that I don't feel qualified to speak in. But in this case, I would like to think that if you're being hired as a consultant for something, you should at least have a lot of experience in regards to the field that the project you're working on is.
Or drama?
Maybe Mtashed has a lot of experience in some areas.
I mean, it only becomes drama if Mtashed replies to this, but.
Is that the Fateless devs find.
Who is
very
this guy?
valuable.
It's his
All
Toho
credit to him
sniper.
if that's the
What's up,
case.
Jake?
And I actually fully agree with what Mtashed says in his video about how gacha games need to be played as actual games, that playing the game itself needs to be treated as a priority, so I think he's at least got the right mindset to work on Godforge. But considering the game they're working on is a gacha, and gacha games are quite a bit different from normal games, I would expect Mtashed to also have a lot of experience with gacha games specifically. But at the moment, with what I know about him and what I've seen, I don't think he does. And perhaps my biggest problem with Mtashed's video is...
Mtashed should totally make a reply to this. That would be funny.
This. He doesn't call Godforge a gacha. Not once in his entire video does he label it as a gacha game. The wording he specifically uses to describe it is a hero collector turn-based RPG.
It is a turn-based RPG. It is a hero collector. There's lots of gear.
True. Mtashed should reply to this, and then it turns into a natural transition into promoting the game.
There's lots of factions. It is a game that is essentially next.
I can see the YouTube video now. This gacha content creator tried to take down my game, proving him wrong. and then he fucking just big advertisement.
Shadow Legends, if you want to call it that,
or something like that. And because I watched this video first before looking at the developer game,
bro, that Western style is so fucking ugly. Yeah, I don't like it either. But that's why I don't think Toho likes it either, because Toho is like knowing all the gacha games Toho plays, he's very much like me. He just likes anime aesthetics, you know?
Gacha then. Given that Mtashed apparently doesn't like gachas that much.
What is the FGO case study?
Work on one, right? But lo and behold, this developer gameplay video clearly shows a gacha screen. They even show their unfinished summoning animation, which hopefully they've got one now that's actually finished. So ripoff.
Wait, chat. You know, unironically, I feel like two CCs I feel like would get along so well together. Is Toho and Gateo. I think they would get along so well. I feel like their personalities are very similar. Like, or might be similar, you know? I feel like they would be they would be like BFFs, low-key. Not even close, really? I don't know. Gateo plays a lot of gacha games too. And he's kind of like, he's not like a fraud, like he's not like a tourist either, you know? Starting drama? How am I starting drama? I'm just saying they're both very similar in their like tastes and like takes in terms of like, you know, how they approach their games and stuff like that.
Give you a case study on another gacha.
Are you going to say fraud? No.
Game for comparison's sake, and it's
not even close, really.
Briefly in the middle of this video.
Does Gateo quit gacha games a lot too, or does he just not? I don't know.
This game is called FGO, or Fate Grand
No,
Order for
yeah,
short.
so that's
this is the very first gacha game I ever played, and it's what got me into gacha games as a whole back in 2017. FGO, like Star Rail, is also a turn-based game, but unlike in Star Rail, there are a lot of mechanics that you have to keep track of if you want to play it optimally. In Star Rail, attacking is pretty simple. When it's your character's turn, you can either select a basic attack or...
Okay, but like, are we really comparing this? Like, if we took Year 1 FGO and compared to Year 1 HSR, I would not even be sitting here and be like, you know what? FGO has so many more mechanics. Bro, first year FGO, you know all that shit used to be? Fucking run a Buster character with Merlins, double Merlins, and just fucking go Unga Boonga Buster. Like, it was really not that deep. Like, looping wasn't even that great back then. It just, like, really didn't work. You know what people unironically had to do back then? They unironically had to run K-scope on every fucking character, and that was the best way to fucking 3-turn, because there was no real fucking good way to actual loop year one. Like, why is Toho comparing? Hey, how many years is FGO now? 7 years, going on 8 years? Gacha game, mechanic-wise, to a 1-year-old gacha game. Like, come on, man. Like, this is just a bad take.
Or a skill, and when they have their ultimate ready, you can use it at any
time.
So
nine years for JP, yeah.
Immobilized somehow, or if it's not currently an enemy's turn. In FGO, on the other hand, your characters, called servants, attack when you select 3 cards out of the 5 that you're dealt at the start of your turn on the bottom right of your screen. Every servant has a particular deck of 5 cards out of a possible total of 6 different deck types, and every deck always has 3 types or colors of cards: quick, arts, and buster. Each type of card is designed to do different things. Quick cards generate crit stars that give your attacks on the next turn a chance to crit. Arts cards generate charge to help servants build up their noble phantasms, or MPs for short, or in other words, their ultimates. And buster cards do the most damage. You with me so far? When selecting cards to attack, your leadoff card, or your card that you pick first, affects the rest of your card chain depending on its type. A quick leadoff increases both the star generation rate and crit rate of the whole chain by 20%, an arts leadoff increases the MP generation rate of the whole chain by 100%, and a buster leadoff increases the damage of the chain by 50%. There are also card combos that have similar effects. A quick chain, or 3 quick cards, instantly produces 20 stars for your next turn, separate from all the stars that the quick cards themselves will also produce on that turn. An arts chain, or 3 arts cards, instantly gives every servant who contributed a card to that chain 20% MP charge, and a buster chain, or 3 buster cards, further increases the damage of that chain.
I think he's just trying to say FGO has a lot of, like, different options and things you can do and consider every turn, but, like, anyone who actually plays FGO knows this is only maybe prevalent if you're doing, like, challenge quests and shit like that. If you're fucking farming, you're just pressing the same buttons over and over and 3-turning. Like, this is not a thing, you know?
By another 20%. There's the Brave chain, which happens when you pick 3 cards.
Exactly, 99% of the game is
just
farming.
So, 4th attack, that's called the extra attack. There's also the Mighty chain, which requires 1 card of each color, and it combines the leadoff effects of all 3 colors. And lastly, depending on the servant, you can get chains that combine card type combos with Brave chains. So if, for example, a servant has 3 quick cards available and you select all of them, that's called
what?
a
I want to hear what his
chain.
point is.
3 art servant is a Buster Brave chain. Cards you want to use on any given turn, which means that everything we just covered is basic entry-level information. We haven't even talked about how each servant in the game...
Okay, but...
also has 3 skills and a noble phantasm that you have to keep track of. And we haven't even gotten into things like the counterclass system, the attribute system, the random 10% damage window, super effective mods, looping and reloading, and card counting, among other things. And that's before we get to the part where there are over 400 playable characters in the game. Speaking of servants...
Again, that's another point that is comparing a 9-year-old game versus a 1-year-old game.
Let's take a look at a few of them. FGO features both characters who are based on famous figures throughout history, both real and fictional, and their own original characters who have the power to fight alongside these famous figures, not unlike how Mtashed described the premise of Godforge in his video. And in the Godforge developer footage, I noticed that Mtashed and Heracles are both playable characters in that game. So here's how they look in FGO. Each servant has 3 different skins by default.
Well, actually, that one in Godforge was Hercules, and this one in FGO is Heracles. Not the same.
That you can unlock by ascending them, with their 4th and final ascension giving them a special artwork featuring them in one of those skins. And yes, before you ask, Mtashed is a waifu in this game, and for some reason she has a summer variant where she wears an American flag bikini. Don't ask why, it's complicated. Anyways, let's compare their animations. These are their animations in Godforge.
Okay, come on. This is pre-alpha. Like, I don't like him harping on the animations of a pre-alpha demo. You know, like, yeah, like, this is not gonna look like this on release, right?
And these are their animations in FGO.
Okay, how about you show us the fucking normal cards and not the NP? Come on. and let's be honest, how about you show us the year 1 FGO animations? Because, let's be fair, a lot of the NPs got fucking revamped across the fucking 8-9 years the game's been out, okay? Come on, Toho. Like, he's being really disingenuous with a lot of the comparisons. Yeah, true. Why don't you show us FGO Jack the Ripper NP? Did this ever get changed? Is it still same dog shit ass NP from a million years ago? Oh my god, she's ulting! What? That's dog shit. You know?
Even if you don't like the anime aesthetic that FGO has, I think there's no question that the animations in FGO are much more impactful than anything you'll see in Godforge so far. Also, Godforge's character design is pretty generic to me.
Hey, yo, they were a huge raid. Welcome, Raiders. Hello.
Right? I'm sure Fateless
we had a great stream.
and Mtashed 2, for that matter, have worked hard on Godforge. Even if I know nothing about game development, I do know that it's not easy, especially these days. But what I do know is Gacha. And
should you really show year 1 of an old game versus a new game? Standards should be higher? Okay, but, like, Godforge is not on year 1 of a new game. Godforge is on year -3 because they're pre-alpha demo. Like, what are we saying? He's comparing a 9-year-old game's animation to a -3 not released pre-alpha demo animation. Right? Like, I feel like we should maybe wait until, I'm just saying in general, well, I feel like to make a fair comparison, we should probably wait till the game's actually closer to release, right?
Like Mtashed, I have a lot of experience, perhaps a little too much, with it. I've played lots of different gacha games. I still play most of them that I picked up over the years, and most of all, I actually
No, this video's not satire.
them, instead of bitching about how I'm about to quit one every other goddamn week. I'm not saying that the Fateless devs should have hired me instead of
my
Mtashed or
goodness.
anything.
Come on,
Again,
man.
I'm sure that they had the reasons for
Leave
bringing him on
Mtashed
board,
alone.
and it's not like Mtashed doesn't know anything about gacha. He has been playing MiHoYo games for the past 3 years, even if it's just on and off, and that's not nothing. But what I am saying is that if the developers of Godforge truly care about giving their game the best chance of success, they should consider looking for another consultant or two who have some actual gacha experience and not just Honkai Star Rail. Oh, and also, have him call it a gacha game next time, because that's a pretty important detail y'all left out. And that'll do it for my rant about Mtashed and his involvement in Godforge. If you liked what I had to say here, make sure to like the video and subscribe. I have more videos like this on the channel, and more to come. I got a Patreon in case you want to see your name show up at the end of these videos, and I also dual stream to both YouTube and Twitch, twitch.tv/ToeSniper98. So, stop by if you want to talk about anything gacha related. Thanks for watching, be cool, y'all. And see you in the next one. Be cool, y'all. And see you in the next one.
Oh my goodness. Bro, Toho just needs to not come off as so angry every video. Like, he genuinely sounds angry every time. Like, I don't think he's actually angry. He just comes off as angry. You know?
You know, spawn.
It's better to take Toho videos as satire, otherwise I can't watch them. Read the comments. I mean, I'm sure most of the comments will be with him because, like, it's his audience, so This is serious. Seriously, looks like Raid Shadow Legends. No matter how bad people say FGO looks or how old some things are, I still love it, and more than most gachas I've ever played. Oh god, another person with Stockholm Syndrome. Something about the slow vibe, not 3D, where all the characters say stuff while in motion animation. Story's so complex and long. It's gatekeeping itself to where only the worthy get to finish it and see how good it actually is. Wow. Okay. Listen. That's crazy. FGO is the best gacha story ever in my opinion. Honkai Impact 3rd is second. Okay. I mean, sure. Damn, I'm impressed and enjoy your opinion on the gacha YouTube space. Mtashed does have gacha PvP knowledge and experience since he has been playing Epic 7 for a long time, probably 1+ years. He's been playing for longer than that. But he doesn't make content on it, which he mentioned a couple times on his streams in the past, if I remember it correctly. Mtashed is no longer relevant in the gacha space for a long time. His gameplay and knowledge is stuck in the past, and now it's hardly useful. You mean experienced in quitting and making videos about why he's quitting? 1 year is not that much, to be honest. For a guy who quits the games he plays, I stopped watching him. He's too inconsistent for my liking. I hope he finds something he enjoys. Will chime in here and say, as an Epic 7 content creator, I have never seen Mtashed in higher tiers of PvP. No disrespect, of course. I like Mtashed, but I've also done consulting work. You really need a high-level player and subject matter expert for these things. Is this guy a big Epic 7 content creator? I mean, yeah, damn, he makes a ridiculous amount of Epic 7 videos, so it looks like it. He is? Is this guy like, is he like a really good player, chat? He is? Yeah, okay. Sue is not high rank either. He's okay. I mean, big in terms of Epic 7. He's high-end RTA, at least Emperor every season. Okay. Here before Mtashed fans slopping on his lap and defending him for what you said in here. Okay, I don't know about that. I don't think Mtashed has fans like that do that. No, this is some next level call out and I love it. I used to like Mtashed, but I've had less and less respect for him as time went on. I don't have any ill will towards him, but this shit is shady as fuck. I'm glad you called it out. I mean, is there any... How many gacha games call themselves gacha? Like, I feel like that's the part that they're saying is shady. I don't know if a lot of gacha games call themselves gacha. I feel like so many of them just call themselves anime, RPG, turn-based, you know? They never really used the term gacha to identify themselves, right? They have the label and that's it. Yeah, exactly. But like none of them ever call themselves gacha, I don't think. Yeah, no game calls themselves gacha, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. I feel like that's another like moot point that Toho made. I always thought Mtashed promotion for the game was a bit off. I highly doubt it's going to be successful if the game actually releases. Own that fraud. I feel like all that video did was make this dude seem like a shill and actual dumb fuck. I mean, some of his points aren't like wrong, but like some of his points are just like, I don't know, a little too exaggerated or not great comparisons. You can make better comparisons, but don't some sponsors tell you not to call their game a gacha? No, I don't think so. I haven't had any sponsors who have that. His community needs to touch grass. Well,